Park Ji-woo hated working late. The empty halls of Seoul National University's physics building felt too quiet at night. But her work on quantum field manipulation couldn't wait. At 27, she was already making waves in the scientific community, even if she preferred her lab to most social gatherings. Just a few more calculations, she mumbled to herself, pushing her short black hair behind her ear. Her computer screen glowed with numbers and equations that would make little sense to most people. The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Ji-woo looked up, frowning. The university's power system was usually very stable. Her phone buzzed on the desk. It was her twin sister, Hana. "Ji-woo, are you seeing this? Turn on the news now." Ji-woo switched to a news site on her computer. The headline made her breath catch. Strange lights appearing worldwide. Scientists baffled. The screen showed footage from cities across the globe. Seoul, New York, London, Cairo, Sydney, all had strange, pulsing lights in the sky. They weren't like any aurora or weather pattern Ji-woo had ever studied. Her equipment started beeping wildly. The electromagnetic readings were off the charts. This wasn't just happening on TV. It was happening right above her. Ji-woo ran to the window. The night sky above Seoul glowed with shifting patterns of blue and green light. As she watched, the lights began to form a shape. A massive circle, at least a kilometer wide, appeared directly over the city center. "This can't be happening," she whispered, but her scientific mind was already racing with possibilities. Her phone rang again. This time it was her colleague, Professor Han. "Ji-woo, are you seeing this? It's not just light. There's a solid object up there. Radar is bouncing off something massive." "I know," she said, her eyes never leaving the sky. I think we're about to make first contact." The words had barely left her mouth when the circle in the sky seemed to open, revealing a dark metallic surface. It was a ship, unlike anything Earth had ever built. All across the city, car alarms went off as a deep vibration passed through everything. Ji-woo felt it in her chest, a pressure that made it hard to breathe for a moment. Then silence. A beam of light shot down from the center of the ship, hitting the main square in downtown Seoul. Similar beams appeared in cities worldwide, according to the frantic news updates on her computer. 3 hours later, Ji-woo stood with thousands of others in the cordoned-off area near Seoul Tower. Military forces kept a careful perimeter, but no one had fired a shot. The world watched and waited. When they finally emerged, the aliens weren't what anyone expected. They looked almost human, but taller, with silvery skin that reflected light in strange ways. They called themselves the Rish. "We come in peace," their leader announced in perfect Korean, somehow broadcasting to everyone present without any visible technology. "We have been watching your world for centuries. Humanity has great potential." The crowd murmured nervously. Ji-woo pushed her glasses up her nose, studying the visitors with scientific curiosity instead of fear. "A great danger approaches your solar system," the Rish continued. "We offer salvation for those with compatible genetic structures. We will take worthy humans to our homeworld, where they will be elevated beyond their current limitations." The announcement sent shockwaves through the crowd. Take people away. Elevate them. What did that mean? Within days, the Rish had set up scanning stations in major cities. They examined millions of humans, selecting those with optimal potential. 1 in every 1,000 people was chosen. Ji-woo and Hana went to be scanned together. The twins held hands as they approached the glowing arch where the Rish conducted their tests. "I'm scared," Hana whispered. "We're scientists," Ji-woo replied. "Think of it as the greatest research opportunity in human history." They stepped under the arch together, not knowing that their lives were about to change forever, in ways neither of them could imagine. The day of departure came 3 weeks after the scans. Seoul Olympic Stadium had been converted into a boarding area. Thousands of chosen people stood in neat lines, waiting to leave Earth forever. Ji-woo and Hana arrived early. Hana carried one small bag, as the Rish had instructed. She wore her lucky blue jacket and kept checking her selection band, a thin metal bracelet the aliens had given to all chosen humans. I still can't believe only I was selected, Hannah said, squeezing her twin's hand. We have the same DNA. It makes no sense. Juwoo nodded. I know, but their technology is beyond our understanding. She forced a smile. Maybe they need you more than me. The twins had spent days crying, arguing, and finally accepting their fate. Hannah had nearly refused to go, but Juwoo convinced her this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Promise you'll find a way to contact me, Hannah whispered. I promise, Juwoo said, though she had no idea how she would keep that promise. Above them, the massive ship cast a shadow over the entire stadium. Smaller shuttles flew down to collect groups of 50 people at a time. As their line moved forward, Juwoo noticed something strange about the Rish overseeing the boarding. They seemed tense, constantly looking at the sky as if expecting something. Next group called a tall Rish with a translator device. His silver skin gleamed under the morning sun. Hannah's group stepped forward. Juwoo walked with her sister to the checkpoint, planning to say goodbye there. The Rish held a scanning wand over each person's selection band. When he reached Hannah, the device glowed green. But when he accidentally waved it near Juwoo, it flashed red and made a harsh sound. The alien's eyes narrowed. He pointed the scanner directly at Juwoo. You, step forward, he commanded. Juwoo obeyed, confused. I wasn't selected. I'm just here to say goodbye to my sister. The Rish called over another of his kind. They spoke quickly in their strange language, with sounds like flowing water and clicking metal. Scan her fully, the first Rish ordered. The second alien pulled out a more complex device and ran it over Juwoo's entire body. He studied the results with what looked like surprise. Incompatible, he announced. Genetic anomaly detected. But we're identical twins, Hannah protested. That's impossible. The first Rish shook his head. Not identical in the ways that matter to us. She cannot go. Then I won't go either, Hannah said firmly. The aliens exchanged looks. The selection is final, the first one said. Board now or lose your place. Juwoo saw the fear in their eyes. These aliens were rushing, breaking their own careful protocols. Something was wrong. Hannah, you need to go, Juwoo urged. I'll be fine. We'll find each other again. After a tearful hug, Hannah joined the other chosen ones. As she walked toward the shuttle, she looked back one last time. Juwoo waved, fighting back tears. In the commotion, no one noticed when one of the Rish technicians dropped a small metal object. It rolled toward Juwoo's foot. Without thinking, she picked it up and slipped it into her pocket. Within hours, all 10 million selected humans worldwide had boarded the ships. As the massive vessels rose into the sky, those left behind watched with mixed emotions. Some felt rejected. Others felt relieved. Many, like Juwoo, just felt empty. The ships gathered in Earth's orbit, forming a pattern like a giant flower. Then, in a flash of blue light, they were gone. Chaos followed. Governments struggled to function with key people missing. Families were torn apart. The global economy nearly collapsed. Juwoo walked home alone through the quiet streets of Seoul. Everything looked the same, but nothing would ever be the same again. At her apartment, she emptied her pockets and found the alien object she had picked up. It was small and metallic, with strange symbols etched into its surface. When she touched a certain spot, it glowed faintly blue. Juwoo didn't know it yet, but this tiny device would change everything. The Rish had left her behind, but they had accidentally given her the key to becoming Earth's greatest defender. 3 months passed since the Rish took Hannah and millions of others. The world tried to move forward, but nothing was the same. Juwoo barely left her apartment except to go to her lab at the university. Every night she studied the small alien device. She tried every test she could think of. X-rays, magnetic scans, even careful attempts to open it. Nothing worked. The object remained a mystery, only glowing blue when she touched a specific spot. There must be a way, Ju muttered to herself one night. Her apartment was a mess of papers, equipment, and empty coffee cups. Dark circles under her eyes showed how little she slept. On her computer screen, news played quietly. 3 months since the departure. Global recovery efforts continue as. She turned it off. The constant reminders were too painful. Ju picked up the device again. This time, she did something different. Instead of trying to scan it, she held it against her forehead, the way she had seen a RISH technician hold a similar tool. The blue glow spread instantly. Ju gasped as a wave of cold rushed through her body. The room spun around her. She fell to the floor, unable to let go of the device. Images flooded her mind. Vast ships, strange planets, millions of humans in clear tubes connected to machines. She saw Hana, floating in blue liquid, eyes closed as if sleeping. Then, something else. A dark cloud moving through space. The RISH ships fleeing in terror. Data streams containing what looked like warnings. Ju woke hours later on her apartment floor. The device lay next to her, no longer glowing. Her head pounded with pain, but her mind was clear for the first time in months. "It's a neural interface," she whispered. "They use it to connect to their technology." She scrambled to her laptop, typing frantically. She needed to record everything she had seen before she forgot. What she wrote shocked her. The RISH were not saviors. They were harvesters. The chosen humans weren't being elevated. They were being used as biological computers. Their brains were connected to the RISH network, processing data for the alien civilization. "Hana," Ju whispered, tears filling her eyes. "What have they done to you?" But there was something else. The RISH had left Earth in a hurry, not just to take their human prizes. They were running from something. Something they feared. Something coming toward Earth. Ju needed help. She couldn't handle this alone. The next morning, she took her notes and the device to the one person she thought might believe her, Professor Kang, her old mentor. They met in his office at the university. Professor Kang was one of the few senior scientists left after the departure. He looked older now, more tired. "You know I trust you, Ju," he said after listening to her story. "But this is hard to believe without proof." "I know," she said. "That's why I brought this." She placed the device on his desk. Professor Kang picked it up carefully. "Interesting, but it could be anything. How do you know what you saw wasn't just a dream?" "Because of this." Ju rolled up her sleeve. Blue lines had appeared under her skin, following her veins. They glowed faintly, just like the device. Professor Kang's eyes widened. "What's happening to you?" "I don't know," Ju admitted. "But I think the device is changing me. And I've been having strange dreams every night since I connected with it." In these dreams, Ju saw stars and distant worlds. She felt stronger, faster. When she woke, she could remember complex alien formulas and technology designs. "We need to run tests," Professor Kang said. "And we need to warn people about what's coming." "Not yet," Ju said. "Not until we understand what we're dealing with. The device showed me something is coming to Earth, something the RISH were afraid of. We need to be ready." As they spoke, neither noticed that the blue lines on Ju's arm pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat, growing slightly brighter with each passing hour. 6 months after the RISH left Earth, Ju knew something was very wrong with her body. Or maybe very right. She wasn't sure anymore. It started with small things. A cup she gripped too hard shattered in her hand. A heavy box at the lab felt as light as a pillow. Running to catch a bus, she moved so fast that people stared. The blue lines under her skin now covered her entire body. They glowed at night, forcing her to wear long sleeves and high collars even in warm weather. "The changes are happening faster," Ju told Professor Kang during one of their private meetings. They now worked in a secret lab beneath the university. Professor Kang checked the latest test results and shook his head in amazement. "Your muscle density has tripled. Your brain activity is off the charts. By all measures, you shouldn't even be alive. Juwu looked at her hands. But I feel better than ever. Stronger. Clearer. The device is rewriting your DNA, Professor Kang said. The question is why? What is it turning you into? Before Juwu could answer, there was a knock at the lab door. A man in a military uniform entered. Dr. Park Juwu, he asked. I'm Kim Do-yeon from the Defense Science Research Institute. We need to talk. Juwu and Professor Kang exchanged worried looks. Had the government discovered their secret? How did you find us? Professor Kang asked. Your power usage, Do-yeon said simply. No normal lab needs that much energy. But don't worry, I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to help. Do-yeon explained that after the Rish left, the military had started preparing for the worst. They feared the aliens might return, or that something else might come. We've been watching for signs, Do-yeon said. Strange signals. Unusual energy patterns. He looked directly at Juwu. People changing in unexpected ways. Juwu felt cold fear in her stomach. You've been watching me. Do-yeon nodded. From a distance, we needed to know if you were a threat. And am I? Juwu asked quietly. I don't think so, Do-yeon said. I think you might be our best hope. He showed them files on his tablet. Reports of strange signals coming from deep space, moving toward Earth. Whatever frightened the Rishawade is getting closer, Do-yeon said. We need to understand what we're facing, and we need defenses. The alien tech you're studying, and whatever is happening to you, could be the key. Juwu looked at her blue-lined arms. I think I know what's happening to me now. The Rish didn't just leave in a hurry. They were running from something they couldn't fight. But they left me behind with this device. Why you? Professor Kang asked. Remember how the Rish said I had a genetic anomaly? What if that wasn't a bad thing? Juwu stood up, feeling new strength flow through her body. What if I have something they couldn't use but needed to fight this threat? Do-yeon nodded slowly. You think they left you with some kind of weapon? Not intentionally, Juwu said. The device was dropped by accident, but maybe it was meant to create a defender, someone who could fight what's coming. As if responding to her words, the blue lines on Juwu's skin pulsed brightly. A sudden pain shot through her head. She fell to her knees, crying out. Professor Kang and Do-yeon rushed to help her, but an invisible force pushed them back. Blue energy surrounded Juwu's body, lifting her a few inches off the ground. When it stopped, Juwu stood changed. Her eyes glowed with the same blue light that ran through her veins. She looked at her hands as if seeing them for the first time. Juwu, Professor Kang asked carefully, are you okay? I'm better than okay, she said, her voice stronger and clearer than before. I understand now. The device wasn't changing me randomly. It was preparing me. For what? Do-yeon asked. Juwu looked toward the ceiling, as if she could see through it to the stars beyond. For war, she said simply. Something is coming to consume Earth, and now I'm ready to stop it. A year had passed since the Rish took Hana and the others. Juwu now lived in a special facility built by the military. Her room had thick walls that could contain her growing powers when they sometimes burst out of control. Juwu sat cross-legged on the floor, her eyes closed. The blue lines under her skin glowed softly. She could feel something far away in space, like a faint sound just at the edge of hearing. There was a knock at her door. Do-yeon entered with a tablet in his hand. Any luck? He asked. Juwu opened her eyes and shook her head. It's there, but I can't quite reach it. Like trying to remember a dream after waking up. For weeks, she had been trying to use her new abilities to search for whatever was coming toward Earth. The Rish device had changed her brain, allowing her to sense things beyond normal human limits. We might have another way, Do-yeon said. Our deep space listening station picked up something strange. He showed her the screen. A pattern of signals, repeating in a way that couldn't be natural. Juwu's eyes widened. The blue lines on her skin pulsed brighter. This is it. This is what I've been feeling. Can you tell what it is? Do-hyun asked. Not yet, but I think I can build something that will help us see it more clearly. Over the next 3 days, Ju-woo barely slept, using knowledge that seemed to flow directly from the alien device into her mind. She built a new kind of receiver. Parts that shouldn't work together somehow did under her glowing hands. Professor Kang helped where he could, but mostly watched in amazement. You're building technology that won't be invented on Earth for centuries, he said. When the receiver was finally ready, Ju-woo connected it to the main computer. The screen filled with strange symbols. I can read this, Ju-woo said, surprised. It's not Rish language, it's something else. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, translating. Soon, images appeared on the screen. Dark clouds moving through space, planets breaking apart, stars going dark. What are we looking at? Do-hyun asked, his face pale. A message, Ju-woo said quietly. A warning from another world that was destroyed. They call it the Void Collective. It's not just one thing. It's billions of tiny machines and living parts working together like a giant swarm. The images showed the swarm moving from planet to planet, consuming everything it touched. And it's coming here, Professor Kang asked. Ju-woo nodded. According to these calculations, we have less than 3 months. Do-hyun immediately made a call. We need to speak to Commander Lee. Now. An hour later, they sat in a meeting room with Commander Lee Junho, head of the newly formed Global Defense Coalition. He was a stern man with gray hair and serious eyes. You expect me to believe all this? He asked after hearing their story. Alien swarms, a woman with superpowers. This sounds like a movie, not a military briefing. Show him, Do-hyun said to Ju-woo. Ju-woo stood up. She concentrated on a heavy metal table in the corner of the room. Blue light flowed from her hands. The table rose into the air, floating as if weightless. Commander Lee's mouth fell open. How? The same way I know what's coming, Ju-woo said, lowering the table gently. The Rish changed me. Now I can sense the Void Collective. It destroyed the Rish's home world. That's why they were collecting humans, to use their brains as living computers to find a way to fight back. Commander Lee was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. What do you need from us? Everything, Ju-woo said. Scientists, soldiers, resources. We're going to build defenses like Earth has never seen before. As they talked, none of them noticed a small light blinking on Ju-woo's receiver. Far out in the darkness of space, the Void Collective had sensed their probe. And now, it was coming faster. Ju-woo stood on the roof of the military base, looking at the night sky. The stars seemed different to her now. She could feel the empty spaces between them, the vast darkness where the Void Collective moved toward Earth. 2 months left, she whispered. The door opened behind her. Captain Kang Minji walked out, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. Minji led the Special Forces team assigned to train with Ju-woo. Can't sleep? Minji asked, standing beside her. I don't need much sleep anymore, Ju-woo said. 4 hours a night is enough. Minji nodded. In the 2 weeks they had worked together, she had stopped being surprised by Ju-woo's abilities. The new weapons are ready for testing tomorrow, Minji said. Do-hyun thinks they'll work, but we need you to power them. I'll be there, Ju-woo promised. Down in the main lab, Do-hyun and Professor Kang worked through the night. They had created new weapons based on the blue energy that flowed through Ju-woo's body. Guns that shot pulses of the same energy. Shields that could block the tiny machines of the Void Collective. Will it be enough? Professor Kang asked, rubbing his tired eyes. Do-hyun looked at the screens around them, showing defense systems being built around the world. It has to be. The next morning, Ju-woo met with Minji's team at the testing range. 20 soldiers stood at attention, each wearing a new type of armor with blue lines running through it. They looked nervous but determined. At ease, Minji said, Today we learn how to fight an enemy unlike any we faced before. Ju stepped forward. The Void Collective is not like us. It doesn't think like us. It's a swarm of billions of tiny parts working together. It doesn't fear death because each part is just a small piece of the whole. She held up her hand. Blue energy flowed from her fingers, forming a small cloud that looked like the images from the warning message. This is what we're fighting, and this is how we'll fight it. She touched a soldier's weapon. Blue light flowed from her into the gun. When he fired, a pulse of energy shot out, cutting through metal targets as if they were paper. The energy disrupts their connection to each other, Ju explained. It breaks the swarm apart. For hours, they practiced with the new weapons. Ju moved among them, teaching them how to focus their minds as they fired. The weapons worked better when the soldiers concentrated on protecting Earth rather than destroying the enemy. Your intent matters, she told them. These aren't just machines. They're an extension of your will. By sunset, Minji's team could hit moving targets with perfect accuracy. The blue energy responded to them, almost as if it were alive. Later, in Commander Lee's office, Zhu reported on their progress. The training is going well, she said, and the satellite network is almost ready. Around the Earth, hundreds of satellites have been modified with the same blue energy technology. They would form a shield against the first wave of the collective. What about evacuation plans? Zhu asked. Commander Lee shook his head. Where would we go? There's nowhere on Earth to hide from something like this. We stand and fight. Zhu nodded. Then we need to be ready for the worst. If the satellites fail, if the weapons aren't enough, I'll have to face it directly. What do you mean? Commander Lee asked, concerned. I can connect to the collective's mind, Zhu explained. I can disrupt it from within. The Rish device prepared me for this. That's too dangerous, Commander Lee argued. We can't risk losing you. Zhu's eyes glowed brighter. This is why I was left behind. This is what I was meant to do. As they spoke, a scientist rushed into the room, face pale with fear. Commander, the deep space sensors. They've picked up something massive. The Void Collective has increased its speed. It will reach Earth in 3 weeks, not 2 months. Zhu closed her eyes. She could feel it now, a vast hunger reaching toward their world. Then we don't have a moment to waste, she said. The sky turned strange colors 3 days before the Void Collective arrived. Purple and green lights danced across the clouds, like an aurora but wrong somehow. People around the world looked up in fear, knowing what was coming. In the command center beneath Seoul, Zhu watched the main screen. It showed the collective approaching Earth, a dark cloud that seemed to eat the stars around it. All defense systems ready, reported Commander Lee. Satellite network at full power. Do-Yun stood beside Zhu, checking the final readings on his tablet. The energy signature is stronger than we expected. The collective has grown since the warning message was sent. Zhu nodded. She could feel it coming, like a pressure in her mind. The blue lines under her skin pulsed faster as the distance closed. Captain Minji's teams are in position worldwide, said Commander Lee. We're as ready as we can be. But Zhu knew it might not be enough. The satellite network, the special weapons, the trained soldiers, they were strong. But the Void Collective had destroyed entire civilizations more advanced than Earth's. There's something I haven't told you, Zhu said quietly. Something I need to try when it arrives. Before she could explain further, alarms blared throughout the command center. It's accelerating, shouted a technician. Impact in 40 minutes. Commander Lee grabbed the microphone. All stations, this is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Prepare for first contact. Zhu closed her eyes. She could see it clearly now. Billions of tiny machines and organic parts working together as one mind. Hungry, determined, unstoppable. Unless. I need to go to the roof, she said suddenly. The roof? Do-Yun asked in shock. But that's the most exposed place. Exactly, Juwu said. I need to see it directly. Feel it. Connect with it. Commander Lee looked worried. That's too dangerous. We need you safe, directing our defenses. This is why I was changed, Juwu insisted. Trust me. After a tense moment, Commander Lee nodded. Take a security team with you. Minutes later, Juwu stood on the roof of the command center. 6 soldiers from Minji's team formed a circle around her, weapons ready. The sky above had turned almost black, though it was midday. It's here, Juwu whispered. A massive shape appeared above the clouds, dark and shifting, like smoke made solid. The Void Collective had arrived. The satellite network activated. Beams of blue energy shot from orbit, hitting the collective. Parts of the swarm broke apart, but more quickly filled the gaps. It's working, shouted one of the soldiers. But Juwu shook her head. Not enough. It's already adapting. She stepped forward, away from the protective circle. The blue lines on her skin now glowed so brightly they shone through her clothes. What are you doing? Called one of the soldiers. My job, Juwu replied simply. She raised her hands toward the sky. Blue energy poured from her body in a solid beam, connecting her to the collective. The force of it lifted her feet off the ground. Inside the command center, screens went crazy. Massive energy spike. Dohyun shouted, What's happening up there? On the roof, Juwu's body hung in the air, suspended by the blue light. Her eyes were open but seeing something else. Her mind reached into the collective, pushing through layers of machines and strange intelligence. And suddenly, she was inside it. Not physically, but mentally. She could see through a billion tiny eyes, feel with countless sensors. The mind of the collective surrounded her, curious about this strange blue intruder. Juwu saw images flash around her, planets consumed, civilizations ended. And the purpose behind it all. The collective was a weapon, created long ago by enemies of the Rish to hunt them across the stars. But now the creators were gone. The weapon continued its mission alone, consuming everything in its path to grow stronger. The collective's attention focused fully on Juwu now. It recognized something familiar in her, the Rish technology that had changed her. And it attacked. Pain ripped through Juwu's mind as the collective attacked. Inside the strange mental space where they connected, it felt like a million needles stabbing into her thoughts. You are Rish technology. The collective communicated, not in words but in direct understanding. You must be destroyed. Juwu pushed back with her own energy. I am human. This planet is under my protection. The mental battle raged as Juwu's body hung suspended in blue light above the roof. The soldiers watched, unable to help. In the command center, alarms blared as parts of the collective broke through the satellite defense network. Dark clouds of tiny machines poured down toward major cities. New York is under attack, shouted a technician. London, too. The swarm is splitting up. Commander Lee grabbed his radio. All teams engage. Captain Minji, begin city defense protocol now. Across the world, Minji's trained soldiers activated their blue energy weapons. They fired into the dark clouds, breaking apart the swarm into smaller, less organized groups. In Seoul, Minji herself led the defense. Remember your training, she called to her team. Focus on protecting, not just destroying. Their weapons worked better than any normal gun could have. Each blue pulse disrupted the connection between the tiny machines, forcing them to stop working together. But there were so many. For each part they destroyed, hundreds more took its place. Dohyun watched the battle on the screens, then looked at the readings from Juwu. Her brain activity was off the charts. She's fighting it from inside, he realized. She's trying to break its connection to itself. Professor Kang nodded, but she can't do it alone. The collective is too vast. Dohyun's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. The resonance weapon. We can use it to amplify her frequency. They had built the weapon as a last resort, a device that could generate the same energy that flowed through Juwu, but they hadn't been able to power it properly. If we connect it to Juwu, while she's linked to the collective, Professor Kang began. It could disrupt the entire swarm at once. Do-hyun finished. We need to get to the roof. Meanwhile, in the mental battle, Juwu was losing ground. The collective was too strong, its billion minds overwhelming her single consciousness. You cannot win, the collective told her. Your world will feed our growth. Juwu saw flashes of her sister Hana, still connected to the Rish network, of Earth's cities burning, of the future being erased. No, she pushed back. Humanity is stronger than you know. The collective seemed to laugh. Humans are weak, divided, alone. We're never truly alone, Juwu replied. And in that moment, she did something the collective didn't expect. Instead of fighting harder, she opened her mind wider. She connected not just to the collective, but to the people fighting below, to Minji's determination, to Do-hyun's brilliant mind, to Commander Lee's steady courage, to every human defending their world. Their strength flowed into her, giving her new power to fight back. On the roof, Do-hyun and Professor Kang arrived with the resonance weapon, a large device that hummed with energy. We need to connect it to her, Do-hyun shouted over the wind that swirled around Juwoo's glowing form. They worked quickly, attaching cables from the device to the base of the blue beam connecting Juwoo to the collective. Now, Professor Kang yelled, activating the weapon. The resonance device glowed brightly, then sent a pulse of energy up the beam. It reached Juwoo, then spread through her connection to the collective. In the mental space, Juwoo felt the power surge through her. She shaped it with her will, focused it with her mind, and sent it crashing through the collective's consciousness like a tidal wave. This ends now, she told it, as the blue energy expanded outward, disrupting every connection in the vast swarm. Above Earth, the dark cloud shuddered. Parts of it began to break away, losing their connection to the whole. The tiny machines fell from the sky like black rain, now harmless and inert. In cities around the world, soldiers watched in amazement as the enemy simply fell apart before their eyes. On the roof in Seoul, Juwoo's body pulsed with one final surge of energy. Then the blue beam collapsed, and she fell toward the ground. Juwoo woke up in a hospital bed 3 days after the battle. The room was filled with sunlight and flowers. Her body still had the blue lines, but they glowed softer now, pulsing gently with her heartbeat. Do-hyun sat in a chair beside her, head drooping with sleep. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. The small noise she made was enough to wake him. Do-hyun's tired face broke into a wide smile. "You're awake," he said, reaching for a cup of water. After Juwoo took a few sips, she asked, "Did we win?" "You won," Do-hyun corrected. "The collective is gone. Most of it, anyway." He explained that after the resonance weapon disrupted the swarm, the remaining pieces had retreated into space. The few parts left on Earth were being studied in labs around the world. "Earth is safe," he said, "thanks to you." Juwoo shook her head weakly. "Not just me. Everyone who fought. Everyone who kept hoping." A knock came at the door. Minji entered, followed by Commander Lee and Professor Kang. They all looked tired but happy. "Our hero is awake," Commander Lee said with a rare smile. "How are you feeling?" Professor Kang asked, checking the monitors beside her bed. "Different," Juwoo admitted. "The connection to the collective changed me. I saw everything." "What do you mean?" Minji asked. "Their memories, their purpose, and something else." Juwoo paused, her eyes glowing slightly brighter. "The Rish. I saw where they went." The room went silent. Everyone remembered the millions of people taken away, including Juwoo's sister. "They're in the Andromeda Galaxy," Juwoo continued. "I could feel them, the human minds connected to the Rish network." "Hana?" Do-hyun asked gently. Juwoo nodded, tears in her eyes. "She's alive. They all are, but they're trapped." Commander Lee stepped forward. We don't have ships that can travel between galaxies. We can't reach them. Not yet, Ju said, sitting up straighter. But we have collective technology now. And Rish technology through me. We can build what we need. Before anyone could respond, an alarm sounded from Professor Kang's tablet. What is it? Minji asked. Professor Kang looked up in surprise. A transmission. From deep space. It's aimed directly at this facility. He turned the tablet so everyone could see. On the screen was a message in the strange symbols Ju had learned to read. It's from the Rish, she translated. They're shocked. They can't believe Earth survived the collective. They want to know how we did it. Do-hyun laughed. They ran away, and we stayed and fought. That's how. As they discussed the message, another alert sounded. There's more, Professor Kang said. A second signal, hidden inside the first. It's using your sister's brainwave pattern as a carrier. Ju grabbed the tablet. The message was simple but clear. We are planning to escape. The Rish are weakened. Help is coming. Tears fell from Ju's eyes onto the screen. Yes, she whispered. Help is coming. 2 months later, Ju stood on a platform in front of the United Nations. Leaders from around the world had gathered to hear her speak. The Void Collective was defeated, but not destroyed, she told them. And the Rish still hold millions of our people captive. Earth needs more than just armies now. We need to look to the stars with new purpose. The blue lines under her skin glowed with power as she spoke. Today, I am announcing the creation of EarthGuard. We will use what we've learned from alien technology to defend our planet and eventually rescue those who were taken from us. The crowd applauded as Ju outlined her plans. Beside her stood her new team. Do-hyun, Minji, Professor Kang, and others who had fought alongside her. That night, Ju stood alone on the roof of her new headquarters. She looked up at the stars, thinking of Hana and all the others so far away. I was left behind, she said softly to the night sky. But that's what made me strong enough to defend Earth. And now, I'm coming for you. The blue energy flowed around her as she reached out with her mind, sending a message across the vast distance of space. Wait for me, Hana. Your sister is coming. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, a small blue light began its journey home. The end.